Just a couple thoughts. Is everybody ready? Okay. Just a couple thoughts. Just coming out of fall camp, just love where the culture of the Swarm D is right now. Their mentality, the camaraderie and chemistry that they've built over this last couple of weeks has been really special to watch. Been very encouraging from our perspective as coaches to see those guys just kind of lean into one another, buy into what we're doing schematically, personnel things, getting a lot of different people on the field. And I think they know it takes a group of individuals that are bought in at a very high level to accomplish the goals that we want to do. From a communication standpoint, thought it was phenomenal this fall camp. Just really the communication, as loud and confident as they were, probably as good a group as I've been around, and that sets us up to accomplish what we want to do this season, which is help change the outcome of close games. And I think we've put ourselves well in position to do those things. Looking on to Ball State, I think this is a team that really schematically they do a really nice job. They've got a great coaching staff that they've got a nice blend of things that they've done from the NFL. Their head coach Mike New, obviously coming from the New Orleans Saints. You see different concepts that you see in the NFL and different things, and then you see some of the ways that they have tailored their offense to fit what they do now. Just overall picture of the team. Again, they're offensively, I think, they're averaging over 400 yards a game from last season. Passing attack, they were top 40 in the country at over 250 yards a game passing. Did a nice job on some third down conversions. I think they're obviously schematically they're challenging to play against because they have good answers. I think from a personnel standpoint, obviously, number 15 from last season is no longer there. I believe he's at Vanderbilt now. Drew Pitt, number 9, is the quarterback that played the last part of the season. Does a good job. Ball comes off of his hand really well. Started to gain experience, and you saw a little bit more confidence towards the end of the year. Caleb Huntley, I think, is a really powerful running back, 5'10", 226 pounds. He gets downhill, doesn't make a whole lot of moves. He's more of a one-cut guy. But really does a nice job, averages 4.9 yards per carry, which I think was the most that they had on the offensive side of the ball of any guy carrying in it. Their receivers, the guys that really stand out to me, obviously their 2 leading receivers are back, Justin Hall and Riley Miller. That's Justin was number 12 last year. I believe he's number 11 this year. And then Riley Miller, number 86. Both of them great possession guys. They do a good job of just getting open, contested catches. They do a nice job of making those catches. And then I think schematically they just take advantage of their skill sets and what they do really well. Passing attack, like I said before, is impressive. I think they do a nice job of their play action game. Their drop back concepts on third down are good. And then they do a good job of complementing their weaknesses. Everybody has them. Every team is aware of them, and the good coaches are the ones that find what those weaknesses, what they are, and they find creative ways to complement them, which I think they're aware of their weaknesses and they know how to complement them well. Questions?
You've talked about it a little bit there, but how do you prepare for a team when they have lost, not just last season, but I think kind of historically through careers, a couple guys with a lot of snaps, a lot of reps, a lot of numbers they've kind of put on film?
Yeah, it's interesting because, obviously the quarterback and I believe one of the running backs who also transferred last season were very good players. And yet at the same time, just about everybody that I listed off played a significant amount last season, including the quarterback. I mean, he started the last 3 games. So, it's interesting when you have a number of guys coming back, particularly in the receiving core. They do have a trusted running back, a quarterback that has gotten significant playing time and has won them a game at that position. I think for us, knowing a little bit who they are because their staff hasn't changed, so they know kind of what we are. We know a little bit what they are, but ultimately, I feel like they've probably got enough depth coming back that they feel confident about their personnel.
I know in past years they've passed the ball a bunch. Mm-hmm. How much do you have faith in your ability of your defense to get pressure with the front four and to affect the game that way?
I mean, I feel confident that we should be able to do those things. Obviously, Typically, and again, I've been in Group of Five, I've been in an FCS program that comes and plays a Power Five. Usually the line of scrimmage is ultimately the major factor in terms of a separation between what you would consider a Group of Five program and a Power Five program. Hopefully we will take advantage of that matchup. I think they do some nice things schematically to protect themselves when they do get into their throw game. But there's some things that we've seen that both schematically and physically we've got to be able to take advantage of and looking to do that for sure.
Michael Penix obviously got named starting quarterback. When you look at him from the standpoint of if you were playing against that guy, what are the things that he does that challenges defenses the most?
Yeah, I don't really want to think about having to play Mike Penix, to be honest with you. I've played him enough for the last couple of weeks here. Mike is just such a if you just tear it down, right, to just who he is, right, the type of athlete he is, he's dynamic when the ball is in his hands throwing it, and he's dynamic in the ball with his hands running it, right? So to have a multi-dimensional quarterback that athletically can just beat you in a one-on-one matchup, whether he's throwing the ball or running the ball, is difficult. On top of that, our guys, I'm telling you, and even last year as a true freshman, like, you see him go through his progressions and his reads and look people off, look a safety off, and then throw a seam ball on a rope at 25 yards. Like, what do you tell your players in a situation like that? So he presents a lot of challenges. I mean, just because of the way that he is athletically and the decisions that he makes. I know it's a cliche to say, but I am truly glad he's on our side. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do. I did think that obviously has to be something that we've done. We've done some things that we've tweaked schematically to get more pressure in the backfield, both in pressure and in some of our four-down looks. I think you have to mix it up. I'd like to be able to sit there and say that we were going to be able to rush four and get a ton of pressure, and that's what I'd like to be able to do that in every single game. Ultimately, I think it's our job as a staff to come up with a good mix of 4, 5, 6-man pressures that we can attack them in different ways. And then sometimes there's a difference. I always look for what is this team, what do they struggle with? Do they struggle with vertical penetration pressures? Do they struggle with sideline lateral movement pressures? Maybe it's a combination of both those things. But you got to kind of see what they are, what they do well, what they don't do well, and try to take advantage of those matchups as best we can. But to answer your question, I expect a 4-man rush will be a little bit more dynamic this year.